I see so many videos on how to make him obsessed with you, how to pull him in, how to attract him, and topics all around this. And this is usually horrible advice. And like everything I talk about, this is deeply personal to me. I just got swept up in this very recently. So I have very recent experience in this. I get it. I get the temptation, but I want to dive into all the things that we hear as to, how to make someone obsessed with you, how to get them to like you. So one of the biggest things that I hear is to not show a lot of interest. That's a huge one. Don't act too interested. Don't reach out. Don't text first. Don't, ask to hang out first. All of this advice on kind of holding yourself back in some way. The other one I hear is acting interested and then pulling away your interest and not responding for a time. Another one I heard was about responding at the same time every day. So just texting once a day, the same time every day, and then suddenly start to make your texts farther and farther apart, that they kind of lose that sense of security as to when you respond. Honestly, it doesn't really matter what advice you're taking or what you're looking at or listening to that is telling you how to attract someone or how to get someone's attention. The biggest thing to know is that when you're watching a video on this, you are quite literally telling yourself that you have to do something or be something other than exactly what you are to get a guy. So I'm fascinated by all the psychology around this, how you kind of reel someone in by pulling away, this and that. It's interesting. Here's the thing though, it doesn't work. If you want to make a very low level, uninteresting guy obsessed with you, yes, you can follow these little tricks and these little tips and it might work. You do not want that kind of man. I promise you that. So if you want a low level guy, keep playing these low level games of when you should reach out, how to approach someone, not being too assertive or being assertive, or again, whatever advice it might be, it really doesn't matter. You are just telling you that you have to play a game to get someone, that you naturally, exactly as you are, you showing up exactly as you are, really isn't enough to attract someone. So you need to play a little game or position things a certain way to kind of reel someone in. There are people out there, and you probably know them, that don't play these games, they don't do this, and they naturally reel people in. So you have actually seen people, have great relationships, or maybe not great, but a relationship without playing these games. So it's possible. So why do you think that you have to do all these weird things to make a guy like you? All of this advice is rooted in fear. It's rooted in the fact that you don't think you're enough already. So you need to play these little games to be enough and to sort of trick someone into liking you. And I want to talk about my own experience with this just recently. This was advice that I followed for a long time, kind of the whole playing it cool card, being a cool girl in romantic situations. And it's never once worked for me. It's never once actually gotten me anyone. It's never once secured a relationship because it's not me. You might not be that chill. You might not be that, calm person that never reaches out to someone, that never shows interest. That might actually not be you. In fact, if you are interested in someone, then you probably will naturally show interest in them. So to tell yourself that you need to hold back, that you need to withhold your energy is actually damaging for you. It kind of makes you feel like you can't just be as you naturally want to be, that you have to play this little game to get someone. And I just went through this last week. I started liking someone, and I don't know, I got in my head after a first date. So I went on a second date. Before I went on the second date, I saw this video on Instagram and I listened to the advice. I was like, oh my gosh, I have to show up. I can't show too much interest and I have to play hard to get because I want him to work for it, blah, blah, blah. I showed up on the second date and honestly, I blew it. I felt so constricted. I felt so off. I fell over twice taking off my shoes and putting them back on. This was at his apartment, okay? And I was just like, oh my gosh, I blew the date. I played it so cool. I sat so far from him on the couch. I didn't show any interest. And it didn't really go well for me. I think he thinks I don't like him at all, that I have no interest. And again, I kind of feel like I blew it. But what blew it was the fact that I didn't feel like I could show my natural interest. I didn't feel like I could show my natural intrigue. I didn't feel like I could just relax and be myself. And I know better than this. And I still fell in this little game that I had to play cool and not be assertive or not show interest. Honestly, how boring is that we're not allowed to show interest, that we're not allowed to ever be assertive? Yes, sometimes you want to have a man take lead. Maybe that's true for you. Maybe it's not. We're not all the same. Everyone has their different way of showing up, and I just feel like whatever your way is, there is a match for that. If you want a very low level, basic, insecure guy, play these little games that might get them. That will never get a solid, great guy. And I know this to be true because I've tried to play that cool, laid back, relaxed, not too interested girl card in pretty much every relationship I've had, and it's literally never worked because the guys are at too high of a level where it's actually not interesting to them. It's not very fun. You know what's interesting to someone? Them seeing you be yourself. People know, especially the kind of guys you want to date, they know when you're being yourself or you're not. Everything shows it, whether you think it or not. Everything about you shows when you are showing up authentically, when you are being yourself, or when you are playing a game and withholding yourself from a situation. Because, I mean, honestly, it's just all rooted in fear. That is not authentic energy. The thing about being yourself that is so powerful is that it will repel some people. And the most powerful thing about this is you have to be willing to repel the people that aren't meant for you. You have to be willing to cut and burn down the extra ships because you don't need them. They're dead weight. You don't need people to like you that were never meant to like you, because what's the point of that? The sooner you are ready to turn off the people that were never meant to be yours, the sooner the people that are meant for you will come into your life. This goes beyond relationships. This is true for careers. This is true for friendships. This is true for pretty much everything. The most powerful place to be is you standing in a place where you're okay with people that weren't meant for you not choosing you. That is all it is. The people that aren't meant for you aren't going to choose you. That's a great thing. Don't drag it out. Don't make it a game. Don't make it a whole thing, because what's the point of that? If you were perfect and everyone you knew were perfect, there would still be certain people that you're drawn to, that you want to spend time with, that you want to be alone with, and other people that you wouldn't want to be. It has nothing to do with you. Let things be as they are. Be okay with repelling people. You don't need something that's not meant for you. You really don't. There's no point in that. And if you've recently played games with someone and you're trying to win someone over right now, just let my story be a little word of advice. I just did it recently. It didn't work. I felt so uncomfortable the whole time. I just felt so off. And yeah, that kind of is what inspired this video, because I'm like, gosh, I know that this isn't going to work, but sometimes you just want to play the little game and you just gotta try it out for yourself. But if you feel like when you play these games that you are restricted and you kind of lose your power and you don't feel good, then it might be a sign that these games were never meant for you. And if you play these games, just remember you will get a guy that enjoys these games, and that might not be what you want either. That is it for me today. I'm wishing you all the very best week, and I will talk to you very soon.